during recovery. Okay, so let's look anyway. And what you're going to do is to uncover the patient and fan this so you can easily bring them back up. Okay, and if you have an elderly patient and they tend to get cold, bring them a bath blanket, a heated bath blanket, and put it over the top. Now, one of the things you need to do is ask a question before you get too far here. Are you allergic to iodine? Because we are cleaning with betadine. And if they say yes, then you are going to need to wash them thoroughly with soap and water. Okay? You will also bring a basin and towel when you come. I'm going to move this thing because it's really in the way.
I'm sorry, Professor, if they are allergic, what do we do?
You're going to wash thoroughly with soap and water. But, so you want to be sure before you ever open the kit. Also, you're going to have the basin of soap and water because if you have an incontinent patient and they've just been incontinent, you want to clean them up before you start doing this, okay? So we're going to explain what we're going to do, and how would you explain what you're going to do? What would you tell the patient?
Expose their private parts.
Yeah, go ahead and let them have the wastebasket as well. I'm sorry, say again?
Well, you first have to let them know you're going to expose their private parts, and then you're going to have to insert a tube.
Okay, yeah, basically, you're going down for surgery, and we need to be sure that you stay dry on the table. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a hollow tube into your bladder, from outside into your bladder, and any urine that you make during this time will simply drain out into a drainage bag. So you don't need to worry about being wet, and the doctor doesn't need to worry about you being wet, okay? And something as simple as that, whatever you need to tell them, but keep it in language they can understand. You start talking about the urethra and that kind of thing, they're not gonna know what you mean unless they have some medical background or have looked some things up. And never assume your patient is ignorant, but what I do is when people start talking to me in single syllable words and I'm a patient, I say, I'm a nurse, you can use regular language, okay? Okay, so we're going to get the kit, and there are some things on the kit, on the cover of the kit, that you will need to know. And I'm hoping that my hands are strong enough now to do this. You just pull these. Pull these
Towards me?
Just like that. How about that?
Oh, I was going to do it a
See,
different way.
no, I just showed you how to open this. With a little help from my friends.
They're very strong, Professor.
Okay, so you're going to take this out, and I want you to notice some things on here. You're going to notice there is an expiration date on it. So be sure it's not expired. You also have information on here. What size is the foley in it? So you're inserting a 16 French, and you would need to record that when you chart. And underneath it says it has a 5 cc balloon, so 5 milliliter balloon. It says inflate with 10 milliliters of sterile water. So we're basically creating a balloon. Okay? So you know stuff about it, and you can hang on to this until after, or just remember it. And this bag is handy because you can use it for trash as you're working. Preferably not right up against a wound. Okay, so we're going to open this, and do you remember when we were doing the central line dressing change? Mm-hmm. I didn't care if this was sterile as long as my kit stayed sterile. Same thing on this, okay? You will see people working with this to keep everything sterile, and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that, and some people actually almost manage to do it, but the chances are, particularly when you're new to this, if you are not used to working in sterile, at some point your arms are going to come over the field, okay? So remember, being sterile, you must maintain both hands and arms, control of them, and knowing where they are at all times. And one nurse I know teaches her students, just act like you're a T-Rex.
Listen.
You can only extend these a little bit, you know? Okay. Now, the first thing that's in there, at this point, I can handle the kit from the outside. I can't get into here. okay? So I can handle this from the outside, and I'm going to bring this down here. Now I need to put my gloves on, and people always want to go ahead and open their gloves here and bring flaps over. Come around the end of the table and do it this way, people. No chance of contaminating your kit. Now, there's one other thing that it's better to do now than after you have your sterile gloves on, and that's to put the, for lack of a better word, drip cloth under the patient in case there's any leakage or any dripping, okay? This is one time you can have regular gloves on. You can reach in, come to where you're in as little as possible. You're gonna grab this piece and bring it out, okay? Now you'll notice on this, there's a shiny side and a non-shiny side. The shiny side always goes down. You're gonna have regular gloves on, and we have already checked the patient to see if they're clean, and we're going to put this in and under the patient. Now another thing that you need to evaluate, and you can do this before you even have the kit open, and that is ask the patient if they can take the needed position. Do you know what the needed position is for a female? Your basic frog. Okay? Okay, so your basic frog with this tucked in under. All right? Now, not everybody's going to be able to do this. The old lady with arthritis in her hips. So you need to evaluate ahead of time, am I going to need a CNA in here to help hold her legs as I'm doing this? Okay? All right. Okay, so she says, oh, honey, I do yoga, no problem. Okay, good for you. And now we're gonna put our sterile gloves on. And people, before I even do that, what else would I wanna do? Before I put her in position, before I wash her, before I do anything?
Identify them.
Close the curtain.
Close the curtain. That's one of the bold-faced things on your rubric. Because even if the patient's in a private room, I'll bet you somebody's gonna walk in the middle of this. And your patient is in a very vulnerable kind of position.
Would you want to lift the gown up too?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I'll have one dirty hand.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, it doesn't matter. Let's see if she can turn it out anymore. I don't think she can. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put my gloves on. Or are you gonna don't?
I'm the next movie star.
You're just photobombed. Okay. This piece, people, is one which I don't use and most nurses I know don't use. But what this is, it's essentially a surgical drape with a hole in it. And you can put this over the patient. And the good thing about this, about having them over, is if you touch them with your sterile glove, you're touching something sterile. The bad thing about it is, with the women in particular, it makes it really hard to find the meatus in your 42-year-old, as I described her, because you're going to be searching. Okay, most nurses I know don't use it, but especially if you have like an 18-year-old who's very, very shy and you know doesn't want everybody in the whole world. So this gives them a feeling of a little bit less vulnerability, and you can use it in a case like that. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So you wouldn't actually be doing this, obviously, but I'm just putting it to the side. Okay, now the next thing you have in here is betadine, and you have already asked the patient about if they have any allergies. They have said no, okay? There are 3 swab sticks in here. So we can go ahead and take the top off, tear it from both sides, hold on to your sticks, and then pull it off. Okay, so that my sticks are available to me. I'm going to just set this back in. Now, at this point, I can move this top tray out because I need to work with stuff on the bottom as well. But I have to maintain sterile. So how am I going to grab it? Like this?
From the middle.
Right, from the inside. Okay, so I'm going to grab this, lift it up. Get in the habit of when you're working with anything sterile, you don't come this way because the probability is your arm's going to come over it. So bring it out and back into the field. Okay? So I've got this ready. If I'm going to get a sterile specimen, which sometimes the doctor will order, I'll get the cup ready. Otherwise, it can just sit there. Now I have in here 2 syringes. This one says it is sterile water to inflate the balloon. Okay? This one, oh, that's what I need, the lubricant.
Oh, you want lubricant?
Yeah, because we're not using the lubricant that's in here.
Do you want the alcohol swabs to use instead of the betadines on the mannequin?
Yes, we're not gonna use it. Yes, thank you, good idea. Okay, and we have one which is the lubricant. Now, in reality, we can't use this lubricant on the mannequins because it gets inside and gums it all up. But you would take the lubricant and you would spread it in here. Now, for a woman, yeah, I'm gonna pretend like this is sterile. Okay, so with your lubricant, how far do you have to lubricate for a woman?
Pretty far.
It's 1 to 2 inches. Because remember, you're only going in 3 to 4 inches altogether. So 1 to 2 inches, so you wouldn't need to put it very far. For the man, you need to lubricate about 5. So we're gonna spread this out to lubricate. Now, I've got a woman, so I have now spread my lubricant. This goes into the trash. Because we don't throw anything away here. Okay, now in here, and notice how I'm keeping my hands up. My hands don't drop below my waist. Okay, yeah, T-Rex. All right, so we're gonna take this out, and we need to take this blue cover off without letting the catheter flop around and get contaminated. So we're gonna follow it up as we take it off, and then this can go in the trash. Okay, and I just touched my glove against my sleeve. So I just actually contaminated my glove. So I would need new gloves at that point. Okay, and what do I want to do with this? 2 things. I can move this over a little bit.
You want 3 or 1 just to demonstrate? Alcohol.
1 is enough, actually. Yeah, okay. So then you're going to go ahead and lubricate, and notice, don't let anything touch anything. Okay, and then it goes back in here. And then you're going to take your sterile water, thank you. You're going to take your sterile water and you're going to attach that, and this can get a little tricky in terms of the sterile. Just make sure your arm doesn't go in over the thing. We're going to lift this up and attach this. It just pushes in, it doesn't screw on or anything. Okay, and that goes back in. Okay, now I'm ready to actually start working with her now. At this point, one hand is about to become dirty, but before it does, I need to have this where I've got it available when I'm ready. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up, and you can do that sterile by coming in the opposite corners, bring it out, over, and between her legs. And if she needs to spread her legs just a little bit more, then you can get her to do it at that point. All right? Now, I'm ready to clean her. I've got 3 swabs, and we're not going to use the iodine or the betadine on the patient. Okay, we're going to use alcohol swabs instead. All right, so you've got 3 alcohol swabs. And here we get to pretend a little. Okay, so on a real person, it's relatively easy to open a female. You just basically slide between the outer lips and spread your fingers. On this thing, it's really hard to keep open, and what you need to do is come about halfway down this slit and simply press straight in, because you need to keep it open the whole time you're cleaning, until the thing's in. And it gets to where it's really cramping your hand to try to keep it open. Okay, so your swab 1 down one side and into the trash. Swab 2 down the other side and into the trash. Swab 3 straight down the middle over the meatus and toss. Okay, now I'm still holding this open. I'm now ready to grab my lubricated can you hold the end of that so I can lubricate
Which one is?
this catheter? And obviously, this would have been done because we've already had it lubricated here, remember? Okay, just put it right down here. Okay. Thank you. Come on. Okay, I guess that's all it's gonna give me. Okay, so I've got her open. And again, it's harder on her than it is on anybody else. Okay, we're gonna pick this up, bring it to the meatus, and start sliding it in. And the important thing here is, and it's really hard to get them started on these guys. Come on. Okay. If not impossible. Oh, pardon me.
But it wouldn't be that hard in
It
real
is
life.
not nearly this hard on a person.
Do you need some more lube? I could just start spraying.
It is simply not going. Come on.
Is it going at all?
Hmm?
Going in at all?
What's that?
Is it going in at all?
No,
No.
not even a little bit. I can't even get it started. Can I
Is
try
there
pushing?
something else in there?
A baby.
Let's try
Jason,
lubricating a
That's the
little more.
wrong
Okay.
spot. Doesn't come out there.
Hey, it's a mannequin. You never know.
Yeah.
Ran out
Here,
of-
let me get this spray. Yeah.
By the way, if you're buying these spray things in the stores now, try them in the store before you take them home. I've gotten home with 2 of them that won't spray. So I put them back, then I showed one of the workers, she said, oh, they spray, and I handed her 2, she couldn't get them to spray, and then the 3rd one finally sprayed, so I bought that one. Okay. Okay, try again. I'm pushing with some force too. Wait a minute, maybe.
There's a mannequin in there we're having the same problem with.
No,
No?
I don't think so. You can try. People, it isn't going to be this hard, honest.
No.
On a person, it slithers in.
Okay,
Okay, let
maybe
me.
are so,
I know, are so much in the way.
well, they're
And they're
so
slippery.
slippery now.
I know.